Hi, I'm Chris Schleter, Master Gardener, food blogger, and writer. Gardening, cooking, healthy and tasty food is my passion. Welcome to my country kitchen, where we'll cook fast, fresh, with the best ingredients you can find. Come join me now. Now we're going to make a romaine salad, which is a great salad that you can go with almost any meal. What you need is a head of romaine lettuce, and you can just chop that up. I do it like in little slivers. Make sure you wash it really well, and I usually put it through a salad spinner or wrap it around dish towels to make sure it gets nice and dry. And that goes right into your salad bowl. Nothing is better than a salad. It's quick and easy to eat. It doesn't take much time, and it's really good for you because you really should have fresh vegetables every single day. So make it a point of eating something fresh every day. And then I'm going to use a little bit of onion. I'm going to slice this a little bit, not real thick. And this happens to be a white onion. It's a sweet onion. It's actually called a 1015 onion. And a friend of mine told me she had this in Texas, and it is probably one of the sweetest onions I've ever grown. It's a great onion to use in places where you want just the raw onion in. But you could also use a red onion in here too. A red onion would be just great in this dish. And now I'm going to add a fresh pear. I happen to have a red pear here because I wanted the color. But the sweetest pears, if you want a real sweet, they would be Bartlett pears. That's your sweetest pear. But I think this one works just great because it has a pretty red color, and which is great for fall. So you slice this up and just toss it in. It almost looks like an apple when you cut it up. So it's kind of nice. So a pear is softer, of course, and they're sweet. So when you make this, make sure that your pear is not hard. If it's hard, it's underripe. Let it get ripe and get a little bit of softness to it. Other pears you could try is there's a round pear. It's an Asian pear. That one actually is kind of harder. So when you cut up an Asian pear, it would have more of a crispness to it, which would work great in the salad if you wanted to. And now I'm going to add some Honeycrisp apples from my Honeycrisp tree. And you can see here, I wanted to show you that not all my apples are perfect either, but you can still use them. I'll be able to use this 3/4 of this apple. And you can see the inside. When you cut up an apple that's got a bruise on, this will happen. That's just from the apple worm. But you can still use these, and I want to show you that you don't have to just get good apples from the store. You can get apples that are seconds and still use plenty of them. You can see I just cut around the bad spot, and it works just great. And you can see in the bowl here, it almost looks like it is the red pear. And now I'm going to do another apple here because I want to get a little bit more apple flavor. And I just chop them up to like bite-sized pieces. But the really crispy crunch of the apple crisp really tastes great in salad. You can even use this with any kind of lettuce you like. One of my favorite is an apple and kale salad. That's really good too. Okay, now I'm just going to toss this up a little bit. Make sure I get some of that fruit. Because it's heavier, it always falls to the bottom, so you got to always give it a toss. And that looks like it's pretty good mixed up. So now I just have a couple things I want to add to this. I'm going to top it on the very end with some fresh cashews and some dried craisins. You also could use dried sour cherries. Those are excellent too. Now I'm going to make the salad dressing that goes in here. And this has got like oil in it, and you can use, I use extra virgin olive oil, but you could use a canola or grapeseed oil if you wanted to. And in Doris's recipe, she had a 1/2 cup of sugar. Now this is what's nice about having a basic recipe. You can adapt it to what you want. I put in maple syrup so I don't have the extra sugar in here. So instead of the sugar, I put maple syrup in there, fresh maple syrup. And I'm also going to put some poppy seeds in here and some dried mustard. Just get those right in here. And I need to add some lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. And being that I have ample amount of the maple syrup in here, I'm gonna make sure you use enough lemon juice. It might be a little bit tart, but I kind of like it a little tart because you've got the sweetness with the apples and the pears. If you are not a fan of real tart dressing, then just use half of the apple. And now I need just a little bit of salt, just a little pinch. Half a teaspoon or less, just a bit. Now all we have to do is just mix this up vigorously. Shake it real vigorously. And now we have that all mixed up. Now there's one final thing we have to make sure we add, and that's cheese. And I'm going to use Manchego cheese. Now Manchego cheese is actually from the Mancha region of Spain, and it is a sheep's milk cheese, but it's a great tang with this. I just love it on this salad. So let's finish it off. We'll sprinkle it with our dried cranberries and add the fresh nuts to it. It's about a cup of each. And then I'm going to top it off with a sprinkling of the Manchego cheese. You can see it's ready, looking really pretty already. And then I'm just going to drizzle. I'm going to start on drizzling on the outside of the bowl, so that gets the outside of the bowl gets touched with the dressing. Then I'm going to take my little hand spatula here, hand tongs really, and you just kind of mix it up so you can see the little dressing coated. You can add as much as you want. I just put it sparingly on. And if you're serving this for a crowd, what I would suggest is maybe getting this into another container, a little pitcher, and then you can put it on the side and they could add more dressing if they like. But I do my dressings pretty sparingly when I do my salads. And once I have it tossed, I will toss it with a little bit more of cheese, so that will be on top when people will come and help themselves to this wonderful salad. It's a fresh romaine salad full of flavors. Now we're going to be making a really fun dish. It's regular old classic meatloaf, but I'm going to tell you some of the things that I'm putting a spin on this recipe. Number one, I'm not going to make it in a loaf pan. I'm going to make it in a muffin tin that's lightly sprayed. And the reason why I like a muffin tin is it just gets to be a nice one-person serving, and if you bake it ahead, you can freeze them and put them in a bag and just pull them out and thaw them out, and it's great for 1 or 2 people. But you are free to make this in a loaf pan if you want. But this is a really fun way to make meatloaf. So you start with 1 pound of fresh hamburger. And to this, we're going to add 2 eggs. Now you can beat these up ahead of time if you want, but I like everything in one bowl. It's so much easier to do that. So I've got 2 eggs in there. Now I'm going to add some oatmeal. It's like about a cup of oatmeal. And then I'm going to add some chopped onions, which I have quite a few in here. Just put as many as you want. I usually put, it's about a 1/4 cup maybe. 1/4 to 1/3, right around there. And then I'm going to add some parsley from the garden and also some fresh chive. So this is a deviation from the original recipe. I always like to put fresh herbs in my meatloaf. It's like a must. So I'm going to mix up these eggs a little bit and get this all incorporated into the hamburger. Now, hamburger and meatloaf, you have to make sure you touch this as least as possible. The more you touch it, the more it can get to be tough. So hamburger is really the best if you use your hands and get in there and mix it. So I just kind of lightly toss it around. And you can see it's really getting quite juicy already. So to this, I'm going to add some of my homemade spiced tomato juice, about a cup. So that is fresh from the garden, tomato juice from this year. And I added a lot of spices in it to it. So it tastes almost like a V8 type of juice, which you could also use just a can of V8 juice. And to this, I'm going to add another my own spin, and this is some cheese. I'm going to use some Swiss cheese. And I'm going to use some cheddar cheese. I just like cheese in my meatloaf. So You can add whatever else you want to in yours, whatever works for you. Now I'm going to transfer this to my muffin tin, but I want to add just a little bit of fresh garlic here in the end. I'm just going to grate this with a grater. And I kind of like to put the fresh garlic towards the end, lightly mix it. And this will be kind of a loose texture, but that's just fine. It'll work just great. And what you do is I just put in a little bit in each container, like so. So that it's about a good half a cup. And then I push it down. When it's half full, I push it down, and then I add a little bit more. You really want to push it down really well. So you can see I'm adding it so it's almost up to the top of the tin. Okay, now we have to top this off with something. Well, we need to have some flavor in there, so I'm going to top this up with the ketchup mixture. And to this I added just a pinch of brown sugar, and this is regular ketchup. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Worcester sauce here. Probably a good teaspoon, tablespoon, right around there. You mix this up. And then I put a little bit on top of each little well here. So that's how you make it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the oven for about an hour at 350. I'm going to continue making the rest of the tins. And when you come back, I'll show you what we got. So I just took the meatloafs out of the tins. I let them cool off for about 2 minutes into the tins, and then I transfer them to a platter. And you can see, being that they were nice and juicy, they're still yet nice and firm. This is a great way to serve them or to freeze them. And then I just top it off with my fresh parsley and fresh chives. And you can serve meatloaf with what? One of my favorites is a good old-fashioned mashed potatoes. There is meatloaf in a muffin tin via Doris's Recipes.